Binge or Bin from Independent TV, giving you the lowdown on which TV shows are binge-worthy and which ones are bin-worthy. This week, we've been watching Sky Atlantic's Yellowjackets and new series Superman and Lois on BBC One.
We also caught up with the new Sex and the City reboot and Just Like That, as well as Olivia Colman's new drama Landscapers.
And we'll introduce you to our picks of hidden gems we think you should be watching.
Hey Jacob.
Oh, you're right, Annabel. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not so bad, thank you.
Oh, great. Well, let's talk TV. You've been watching Yellowjackets?
I have been watching Yellowjackets. Yellowjackets is a new US drama and it follows a high school soccer team who are heading to Seattle for a national tournament in 1996. When their plane goes down, some of the team members survive. And while they're there for 19 months, something goes down, but we're not quite sure what goes down. However, we do jump forward in time to present day, 2021, where we see the adult versions of the survivors who make it off the place where they are alive, the deserted wilderness, and we realise that they're holding a very dark secret.
What happened out there, what I saw, what I did.
Now Postman. I've got the world's smallest letterbox and it just takes like an age for the post to come through. It's created by a duo called Bart Nickerson and Ashley Lyle who met while they were making Narcos Mexico. But it generated largely from the idea of what would happen if a bunch of girls were thrown into a situation that we've largely seen boys been thrown into in previous material, including Lord of the Flies. And that girls actually will be just as barbaric as boys would be if they were left to fend for themselves. This show, Yellowjackets, takes that idea and pushes it to the extreme. It's not for the faint-hearted. And I'm all there for that. However, I do worry that it's at the expense of a meaningful story being told. The cast are really impressive, especially the adult versions of the young girls who we see in present day, and when we see the damage that this experience has done to them. We've got Juliette Lewis, you've got Tawny Cypress, who we know from Heroes, and most brilliantly, you've got Melanie Linsky, who can currently be seen in the new Adam McKay film, Don't Look Up. She is by far the best thing in this show. I am left wondering if this is actually as good as it's actually being touted as. It's getting a lot of good buzz, and I'm a bit confused as to why, if I'm being brutally honest.
So is it worth the ride? Do you think you're going to stay on for 5 seasons? Is it a binge or a bin?
And I will say the Yellowjackets has to be a big.
The truth is, the plane crashed. A bunch of my friends died. And then the rest of us starved and scavenged.
So Annabel, you've been watching the return of Sex and the City.
Yes, I have been watching And Just Like That. Pretty much all of the cast returns. You've got Sarah Jessica Parker, the late Willie Garson, Cynthia Nixon, Kirsten Davis. They all reprising their roles from the original HBO series. But obviously there is a massive hole felt because Kim Cattrall isn't in it. It's been reported that her absence is due to like a long-standing feud that she has with Sarah Jessica Parker. You really do feel Samantha's absence throughout the whole 10 episodes of this. So plot-wise, we kind of meet the characters in pandemic era 2021. Carrie has kind of traded in her column for a very popular fashion Instagram account, and she appears on a podcast where, funnily enough, she's seen as the repressed fuddy-duddy who's like reluctant to talk about sex.
The future is unwritten because we're all at different stages of life.
Miranda has left her corporate law job and is studying instead for a master's in human rights. And Charlotte is kind of just being Charlotte and is very happy in her family life. So the original Sex and the City writer, Michael Patrick King, is running the show on the reboot, which is both good and bad news because he was, of course, responsible for the greatness that was the original HBO series, but also responsible for the travesty that was the most recent Sex and the City 2 film. Since the show ended in 2004, it's got a reputation for being extremely white and blinkered in its portrayals of sex and sexuality, and this reboot is seeking to redress that. It is successful in doing that because the characters, they are coming to terms with some elements of the modern world, but other times it was just a bit too heavy-handed in the way that it's kind of trying to make its characters better people.
In all, would you say And Just Like That is a binge or a bin?
I think if you're like an OG Sex and the City fan, it's got to be a binge.
How many dating apps are you on?
I'm just waiting for someone to create a dating site that's called Here's the Man You've Been Searching for, Seema.
So this week I've been watching Superman and Lois, which is a CW series in America, but is being aired primetime BBC One in the UK. This one stars Tyler Hoechlin as the Man of Steel, who you might know him as the young boy in Sam Mendes' Road to Perdition, but who's more recently seen in Richard Linklater's Everybody Wants Some, a really underrated film. He turns in a really underrated performance. So I was really excited to see that he'd been cast as Superman, and really excited to see if he'd, put his stamp on the role in a way that Henry Cavill had in the film universe. In Lois Lane, I should say, is played by an actress called Elizabeth Tulloch.
The world will always need Superman. But right now, this family needs you more.
This series has been produced by Greg Berlanti alongside Todd Helbring. Greg Berlanti's his name's all over the CW shows like Riverdale, and he's a big orchestrator of the Arrowverse, which includes other DC heroes, including Arrow, The Flash, Batwoman, and Legends of Tomorrow. There's something quite warm in watching, a superhero like Superman and a character like Lois Lane in a fresh story in a world that is away from the DCEU, the DC Extended Universe, in which, Zack Snyder's Justice League and Aquaman and Henry Cavill Superman feature. There's something quite money-focused about those depictions, I think, and this one is quite humble, and I think it's nice to see. I think it's exactly what the character needed, actually. There's something quite nice about watching a show like this, a show that's very much feels like a throwback to being on BBC Two, 6 p.m, years and years ago. Back on TV screens, I think there's something quite nice about that scheduling.
Oh, it all sounds very promising. So, is it a binge or a bin?
To my surprise, it is a binge.
You're Superman? No, we've seen Superman before. We've seen him.
So Landscapers is actually one of my favourite shows of the year, which I know is a big call considering it's been such a phenomenal year for TV. So it's based on the true story of Susan and Chris Edwards, who were this middle-aged, kind of eccentric English couple who were jailed in 2014 for murdering Susan's parents and making off with like £300,000 of their assets. So from the premise alone, it kind of sounds like any adaptation of this story would just go down that solid BBC true crime drama, good but not great series. And that would have been perfectly fine. But what Landscapers does with this story is so unexpected, and it feels really fresh in a way that I feel like I haven't seen has treated this genre before.
We just have to stick to the plan.
Stick to the plan.
So the series is written by Ed Sinclair, who's an actor and a writer, and who also happens to be the husband of Academy Award winner Olivia Colman, who he said he actually wrote this part for. So Colman stars as Susan opposite David Thewlis as Chris, and together on screen they are just so enigmatic. They manage to perform their roles in so many different ways. It's a comedy and a romance and a drama and also a murder mystery. And I think when we've seen that kind of mixing of genres before, the level that we think of it as being successful is the subtlety, but this isn't that. It's jarring in the best way.
I think we're all on the edge of our seat to find out whether, Annabel, you think Landscapers is a binge or a binge.
Yeah, Landscapers is definitely a binge. It's 4 episodes, can do it over the weekend. It's a binge.
She's calling me a murderer!
It's not what it seems.
It didn't happen like this!
The whole lot of you are liars!
So here on Binge or Bin, we like to highlight the hidden gems we think you should be watching. The shows that we think you should move to the top of your list that you might not have heard of before. Now, my hidden gem this week is the German language Netflix drama Dark, which ran for 3 seasons. It's a time travel murder mystery. It's about a young boy in the fictional town of Winden who disappears and ends up back in the 80s. It sounds like it's one of those high concept shows which the execution is wasted on how great the plot sounds, which so many shows, especially released on Netflix, suffer from. But let me tell you, I have not seen something so intricately woven and told, absolutely delivered in a way with this confidence where you know that every single scene, every single line that's uttered counts in such a long time.
Alles wiederholt sich.
It's created by Yantni Fries and Barambo Adar, who I think Netflix was so impressed by that they've given them some form of first look deal where they do titles and TV shows, especially for Netflix. The cast is an ensemble of German actors who British audiences might not be aware of, but the real standout for me is Louis Hoffman as a young guy called Jonas who starts travelling through time and realising that his position in the story is much more important than the one that he initially thought once he starts uncovering the mysteries of Vinden. Like, if the idea of time travel puts you off, this show deals with it in such a realistic way that you actually believe there is time travel existing in this world. It's the human characters and the real life feel of the town that the show depicts that actually makes Dark feel like one of the most engrossing examples of the genre I think I have ever seen. You've probably heard of a lot of shows that are touted as the best that there are on Netflix, but let me tell you, none are better than Dark. It really is Netflix's best show, and if I was them, I'd be pushing it daily.
Die Stadt ist krank. Und wir alle sind ein Teil davon.
So my hidden gem this week is The Outsider. It's a TV adaptation of a Stephen King novel. So it's kind of half psychological thriller, half murder mystery, and a little bit of horror thrown in there too. So firstly, you've got Ozark star Jason Bateman playing Terry Maitland, who's this normal, average, suburban dad who is then arrested for the murder of a young boy in the community.
No, you need to go.
What is he doing with handcuffs?
I'm as baffled by this conflicting evidence as you are.
Ben Mendelsohn, one of my all-time favorite actors, stars as the detective investigating the case, which seems at first glance to kind of be very open and shut. They've got pretty damning evidence against Terry, but then certain things come to light and this show quickly U-turns from being like a crime drama to a supernatural thriller very quickly, but done really well. The Outsider kind of straddles both those worlds really well. Sometimes it's a bit jarring, like just at first, but then it finds its feet and you're kind of in it for the long run. So the tone of the series, they managed to get just right. It's adapted for TV by American screenwriter Richard Price, who is also behind HBO's crime drama The Night Of, which stars Riz Ahmed. And I think that also has a very similar gritty vibe without being too over the top. This cast is just phenomenal. Besides Ben Mendelsohn, Jason Bateman lends his role like that kind of Arrested Development comedy that he always brings to each part, and it really works here. You've also got Julianne Nicholson from Mayor of Easttown playing Terry's wife, and she is just superb in this as well, always scene stealing. And you've also got the very multi-talented actor-singer Cynthia Erivo playing another investigating officer on the case. So by now I'm wary of Stephen King adaptations, but this one is a great success.
It was worse than I ever imagined.
Thanks so much for watching Binge or Bin. That's more than enough to keep you going until we see you again next time. Like or comment below and subscribe for more from Independent TV.